I've also been working on a book, and this is true. I'm rewriting the American classic, Huckleberry Finn, from Nigger Jim's perspective. It's called The Adventures of Nigger Jim. That's how the book starts. Huckleberry Finn walks up to him and goes, "So you're Nigger Jim?" And he's like, "Yo, I just said Jim." "What's your name, little buddy?" "Huckleberry Finn's my name." "What? Huckleberry? That's your real name?" "God-given." "You know what? Just call me Nigger Jim. It's fine." I don't care if you are black or white or whatever. If you ever meet a white person named Huckleberry, he has less money than you. That is the white, trashiest name I've ever heard in my fucking life. If you have a name like Huckleberry, you're doomed to fail. If I was in court and my lawyer came up and was like, "I am your attorney, Huckleberry Finn," I'd be like, "Uh-oh, I'm going to jail." God forbid I ever go to jail. But if I do, I hope it's in California. Because as soon as the judge sentenced me, I'll be like, "Your Honor, before you sentenced me, I just went to court to know I identify as a woman. Send me to women's jail." And as soon as I get in there, you know what I'm gonna be doing? "Give me a fruit cocktail, bitch, before I knock your motherfucking teeth out. I'm a girl just like you, bitch. Come over here and suck this girl dick I got. Don't make me explain myself. I'm a girl." Really, I could do these specials like Steph Curry. I'll be shooting from inside, outside, all night. It's been great ever since. A lot of my friends are athletes, and I never could understand what it would feel like to only have a limited amount of time to be great. You got 20 years to be the best, or 30 years to be the best. But when you do art, you could be great whenever the will decides that you're great. I feel very lucky for that. And I never forgot this school. I've always come back and checked in. One of my favorite honors was doing the commencement at Ellington. I can't even remember what year it is. I just remember they cheered for me when I came out. I wasn't a big star, but I was their star. And I felt like I was home. After I did Lorne Michaels, after I did Saturday Night Live, Lorne Michaels said something that I gotta share with you. He goes, "You went to Peggy Capeford School, didn't you?" That's what he said. And I said, "I did." And he said, I want to say to Saturday Night Live, he goes, "Tell her I owe her money." You know, I never asked to have this theater named after me. Peggy asked me. She was ailing, and I went to her house to visit her. She said, "I want you to put your name on the school." She said, "It will help us raise money for the school." And to me, it was like, I felt like I'm a little young for that, and I'm still kind of using the name, you know what I mean? Let's see what I do with it first. You never know, you know. Like, imagine if OJ named his son OJ Jr. Oh, Dad. And around then, I was receiving the Mark Twain Prize, huge honor. And the next day, all the artists that came to honor me, the Bradley Coopers and Chris Tuckers and all these great people, came to Ellington, and they taught master classes for the students. And Peggy Cooper Capeford, as sick as she was, got out of her bed so she could be with her babies. She never left us. So I did it. Say, you know, whatever you want to do, if I can help, I'll do it. I gotta tell you, if you quit a show like Chappelle's show, I don't know if you know what happens to you professionally, but I'll tell you what doesn't happen. They don't just say, "Well, good luck in your future endeavors." With that media, they beat me up. With their power, they tried to make me behave. It takes a strong person to stand out in the cold like that. And I swear to God, so much of the strength I got to do that, the inner warmth I got to do that, I learned in this school and from my friends who helped raise me. So why wouldn't I do anything I could to help my benefactor? And the last time I came back, after the closer, when the kids were mad at me, I gotta tell you, that was quite the day. All the kids were screaming and yelling. I remember I said to the kids, I go, well, okay, well, what do you guys think I did wrong? And a line formed. These kids said everything about gender and this and that and the other, but they didn't say anything about art. And this is my biggest gripe with this whole controversy with the closer, that you cannot report on an artist's work and remove artistic nuance from his words. It would be like if you were reading a newspaper and they say, man shot in the face by a 6-foot rabbit, expected to survive. You'd be like, oh my God. And they never tell you it's a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I took a lot of cold shots in show business. And I gotta tell you, as the years go on, you feel the shots less and less as just the business, is what you say. But that one, that day, boy, that day they hurt me. When I heard those talking points coming out of these children's faces, that really, sincerely hurt me. Because I know those kids didn't come up with those words. I've heard those words before. The more you say I can't say something, the more urgent it is for me to say it. And it has nothing to do with what you're saying I can't say. It has everything to do with my right, my freedom of artistic expression that is valuable to me, that is not separate from me. It's worth protecting for me, and it's worth protecting for everyone else who endeavors in our noble, noble professions. And these kids didn't understand that they were instruments of oppression. And I didn't get mad at them. They're kids, they're freshmen, they're not ready yet. They don't know. What made me mad, and I am this petty, I ain't saying names. One of the kids' mother went on Fox News. And she used to be a student here. I remember her face, but I don't know if she was particularly popular. Anyway. She was in the literary media arts department. She said a lot of things that I didn't like, a lot of things, but, you know, that's her right. Things she said that got to me. She said, at Duke Ellington, that theater was a sanctuary for students. I used to sit there and meditate. Well, of course you'd meditate. You were a literary media arts student. We didn't meditate in here, we got to work. But okay, fine. I would sit in there and meditate, she said. And then she scrunched her face up. She's a beautiful woman, but her face looked hideous the way she scrunched it up. And she said, and just to imagine his name on that theater. How could you do that to those kids? Listen, no matter what they said about the closer, it was still the most watched special in the world. And I am still of the mind, and I say this with all humility, it is a masterpiece, and I challenge all my peers to make its equal. They cannot, I am sure. It will be decades before you ever see someone in my genre as proficient as me. I am maybe a once-in-a-lifetime talent. I am telling you the truth. About 3 weeks ago, I saw in the newspaper that they said a man that was dressed in women's clothing threw a pie at the Mona Lisa and tried to deface it. And it made me laugh because I'm like, it's like the closer. I said it to the kids that day, if you have a better idea, then express it, and you can beat me. It's that easy. If you have more talent than me, then display it, and you can beat me with certainty. This is what our genre is about. The idea that my name will be turned into... Now it's their turn. This is their first nigga lesson, and I'm honored to give it to them. They're gonna pay me for this show. I called my agent. I said, is there anything I can do about this show? And he said, no. Well, fuck you too then. If you want something done right, I guess you got to do it yourself. So I'm not going to the agents. I'm coming to my real boss. I'm coming to you. I'm begging you. If you ever liked me, if you ever think there was anything worthwhile about me, I'm begging you. Please don't watch that show. I'm not asking you to boycott any network. Boycott me. Boycott Chappelle's show. Do not watch it unless they pay me. If you're a shareholder at Viacom, then I'm talking to you. Because all that shit that they do to us, well, they do everything for their shareholders. That's what they told me. So if you're a shareholder in that company, tell them it's wrong. And if you don't believe that it's wrong, then fuck you too. You should know what's in the hot dogs you eat. Now, there's probably a bunch of people at Comedy Central and Viacom and all these places that have no idea what I'm talking about. They've all either quit or been fired or got Me Too'd or something. Them niggas is gone. And there's a whole bunch of new young people there, and they're probably looking like, what is he talking about? They may not actually know what the fuck happened to me. So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Go downstairs to your accounting department, open the books, see what that show made, and look at what you paid me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to pay me. I am inviting you to come with me and work with me. And let's fight against that terrible, terrible feeling that you made me feel together. We can fight together and work this thing with Chappelle's show out. Or I can just take it. Thank you. Somehow we worked it out so that they gave me an early enrollment, and I left Eastern within weeks of that. And I came to Duke Ellington, and it was better than I could have ever imagined. I didn't have the suspicion that most new kids get. I was an oddity, a new toy. I was quirky. I wasn't a snappy dresser. I didn't really know what the fuck was going on because the crack epidemic itself was new to me, and they were all refugees from their neighborhood schools. In the morning, we would have our academic classes, and then in the afternoon, we would have our arts classes. It was a long school day. We started 8:30, we wouldn't leave here till 5, sometimes 5:30, whenever they saw fit. It's funny walking in here tonight, because I saw the pride flags up, and I remember when I came here all those years ago, it's the first time I'd ever met a kid who was just like gay. And was never strange to us. Their sexuality or their gender identity was the least remarkable thing about a person that could dance as well as Roger Bellamy or there was no distinction between any of that. Everybody was weird in their own way. And in a very strange way, because we spent so much time with one another, we helped raise one another. There's a camaraderie between these students that I don't know that I've seen since I left this school. I can remember, and I won't say names, there was a student that went here that used to sell drugs. It wasn't just a student, but this particular guy. This particular guy did the cardinal no-no on the streets. He did what they call not making your roll, which meant that he got some drugs on consignment and he didn't pay whoever gave him the drugs back. And whoever gave him those drugs had declared, "I'm gonna come to that school and I'm gonna kill you," he said. And my man was scared. And the word got around school that the goons was coming. And by the time the goons showed up, every dude that went to this school, gay, straight, whatever the fuck, was all standing out front. They said, "You have to kill all of us." And who was in front of all of them? Roger Bellamy with some leg warmers on like this. Yep. Yeah, the handicaps are the new people I punch down on. To be honest with you, I've been trying to repair my relationship with the transgender community because I don't want them to think that I don't like them. And you know how I've been repairing it? I wrote a play. I did, because I know that gays love plays. It's a very sad play, but it's moving. It's about a black transgender woman whose pronoun is sadly nigger. It's a tearjerker. At the end of the play, she dies of loneliness because white liberals don't know how to speak to her. Sad. Started making friends that are still my friends to this very day, lifelong friends. As I get older, I appreciate my teachers more and more. But to tell you the truth, I appreciated them then. Teacher salary is, not necessarily what it should be. And when I think about that, juxtaposed to the dedication that the teachers, the time they would spend to me, the way they would notice, "Are you okay? Is everything all right? You look sad today." Any little thing, like a family member would. And they fostered an environment of almost absolute trust, like your parents. There's 2 lectures that I got at school that changed the way I do comedy, that turned a light switch on. It was 2 teachers. Donald Lease. Donald Lease, may he rest in peace. Maybe one of the single best educators that I've ever met in my life. He had a demeanor about himself that demanded excellence from his students. He would tell us incredible stories that I didn't believe. He claimed in one class The song Killing Them Softly was about him. I was like, nah, nigga, not you. He told me he knew Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack and all these people, these DC legends. He's a humble man, but he really demanded excellence. And he gave us a lecture once on the concept called polarization. Polarization meaning the idea that if you can make everybody look at the same thing at the same time, that their rational mind will decrease and their emotional response will increase. He said that's how audiences work, that's how mobs work. That's how you make a person lose themselves in the crowd. I got it. As he was saying this, he would hold a staple in his hand. It was a good lecture. He said, everyone focus on the staple, and then he would explain to us what polarization is as we're all looking at the staple, and then he'd scream, ha! And everyone would jump, oh. And he said, what you scared of? Oh, shit, that works. Do you know why Prince, the famous rock star that was a friend of mine, do you know why he called himself the artist when he came back? He calls himself the artist because that's what they call us in our contracts. Oh, these contracts are crazy. You should hear the terminology they say in these contracts. To use your name and likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe. Who the fuck could possibly know what that means? Nobody does. It's so complicated, in fact, that when you're a kid like me, you have to hire somebody to tell you what that means. And you sit down at a table and you do the contract game. And that's how I got with Comedy Central. I signed the contract. But I signed the contract the way that a 28-year-old expectant father that was broke signs a contract. I was desperate. I needed a way out. And it wasn't good money and it wasn't good circumstances. But what else am I going to do, I said. And all these white people sitting at that table told me, trust us, Dave, it's a good contract. And I looked around the table and they all seemed to agree it was a good contract. But what if it was like that game of three-card Monte? What if they were all friends and I didn't know it? And the bag of money was Iceberg's money in the first place. And ever since he did that lecture, I listened in his class intently. He was one of the only guys that I would always get straight A's from because I worked very hard, not to get his approval, but to avoid his disapproval. When we were coming up, they had a thing called juries. I don't know, do they still do juries? Juries is when all the department heads give you a piece to work on and they sit there and they make you perform the piece, and the criticism is brutal. We were kids. We didn't understand that they were preparing us for a hard world ahead. If you wanted a profession in art, they would tear us to shreds. The stress of a jury, and man, I never practiced. Because I didn't want to act. At an improv class, a teacher named Geraldine Gilstrap told me that I should stop doing funny pieces. And I should try to stretch myself artistically. And maybe I had more in me than comedy. And at the time, I took offense to that. So because she said that, after school that very night, I went to the comedy club. For the first time, I signed the list, and I waited, and I got on, and I killed it. Killed it. Must have been 35 years ago, night after night. I killed it. I'd show up with and I ended up doing something that no one had ever seen before, including myself. Maybe Prince is the only other guy that I've seen do this, where he just quit something that was popular when you're at the very top of it. Lucky for me, when I quit, I went to Africa, so there was a media storm that I didn't hear. By the time I got back, everyone was just looking at me crazy. That was a very difficult decision to make, The entire world told me I was crazy, but I was sure I was being true to myself and to something that I learned at Ellington. I'm one of those comedians that thought of himself as an artist. I was enamored by what the genre could do. It was like the pictures that I could paint with words and the way I could engage with audiences. I understood as it was happening. I was very lucky to be able to do this. And I protected that. And I knew that if I took the money, they would expect me to behave differently. And I wasn't willing to accept that. So I quit. And when I quit, it was a very difficult time in my life that I'll spare you the details, but man, fuck show business. It was tough. And then one day I was in Panama City, Panama, and I was at a hotel, and I looked at the lobby. There was a painting of Abraham Lincoln. And then I would look closer. It wasn't a painting. It was all pennies, just pennies, on a black canvas arranged into the face of Abraham Lincoln. And I asked the guy, I said, how much is that painting worth? He said, $600,000, sir. And I looked at the pennies that made up the painting, and I was like, that's like $300 worth of pennies. A light bulb went in my head. I realized the value of art. Some of the biggest wars and crimes and scandals in history were financed. The depth of art. Art is a powerful commodity. And artists, you're good at it, should never behave. It's a commodity. It's tough though. And then I gave up. I said, oh, with all the years. And I accepted the fact. Where I thought I was going to have is over, but I started to rediscover just my art for its own sake. I go to comedy clubs, and I worked for way less money than I ever had, and I enjoyed it more than any of the work I ever did. Probably the best work I'll ever do. So honest. It was so sincere. There was no media, there was no studio, there was no student, just me and the crowd. And I did it night after night, slowly but surely. And suddenly people started to notice. Also, I would say, Chappelle has a tour of the year. And a thing. And the year after that. Then the year after that. And then, Lauren Mike asked me to do Saturday Night Live. And it wasn't just like he asked me. He's caught me. I didn't even know it. It was a whole long speech. All right. And I read some book about Lauren Michael start Saturday Night Live, and I read the speech that he gave Richard Pryor when he wanted him to host the show, and I said, holy shit, that's the same shit he said to me. Then I did this. There was an enormous amount of pressure. It's been 12 years since I've been on television, since I even talked to the media. And I remember I signed my Netflix contract on my way to my mark for the monologue. If you do live television, it counts down every second, 30 seconds. Are you sure you sound better than that? 22 seconds. Oh, man, you better not get bigger than you. Then at 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I walked out on that stage. It was natural. It was nothing. It was easy work. Got an Emmy for that one, too. First Emmy I won. And when I walked on the stage, after being on the pole for so long, for the first time when I walked on the stage, I'm like, damn, nigga, I just made it. I learned one of the most valuable lessons of my life, and I have to share it with you. And that lesson is this. In your life, in any given moment, the strongest dream in that moment wins that moment. I am a very powerful dreamer. Yeah, I'm not lying. I dreamed tonight, this very night, as a 14-year-old boy, and I am living it as a 50-year-old man. My dreams
are very strong. Today, I walked all around Washington. I used to be poor in this city, and all day people just said, hey, Dave, like they knew me personally, and I felt like I knew them. And I say to myself, my God, Dave, what a powerful dream. But then sometimes I feel regular. Just feel like myself. Maybe I'll smoke some weed and be in some nightclub and feel shy. But I'll look across the nightclub and I'll see some guy that no one's ever heard of. But this nigga worked all week and got bottle service. And there's bitches bringing Moet with sparklers to him. And I picture in my mind he's Persian. He's doing some kind of weird Persian dance. And he got 6 bitches at his table because he got so much liquor, and they all call him saying, go Cena, go Cena. And I'll be looking across the room like, oh my God, I'm in that guy's dream. I can hear him telling his friends, hey, how was the club last night? Man, that shit was fantastic. I had bottle service. I seen Dave Chappelle across the club looking at me like, ooh, who was that? And that's the trick to life. You have to be wise enough to know when you were living in your dream. And you have to be humble enough to accept when you're in someone else's. It's why I don't judge between Will Smith and Chris Rock, because you guys look at them as big ideas, but I look at them as fellow dreamers. I can't judge between them because I see myself in both of them. I am Will Smith. I am the man that cannot take it anymore and will slap the shit out of the next person that says a crossword to me or somebody that I love. And I am Chris Rock. I am the man that can get slapped in front of the whole world and keep my composure so I don't fuck anything. When I see a fellow dreamer, I give them my utmost respect. Even if I don't understand what their dream is. I know a dreamer when I see one. And I've met many powerful dreamers in my life. None more powerful than a man who calls himself Little Nas X. I met this nigga at a party. I had no idea who he was. But the minute he walked in that party, I knew I was in his dream. Everybody in the party was another dreamer. Everyone was famous, but when that nigga walked in, he was dressed like C-3PO. He was shining. And everyone was like, oh my God, there he is. That's Lil Nas X. I didn't know who he was. And for some reason, out of all them dreamers, he walked right up to me. And he said, I tried to get you in my video. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I said, what? I said, what? What video? And he just looked at me like, you know what video, and walked away. And I watched him walk away. I said, man, this nigga's having a very powerful dream. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when we was in grade school. Remember in grade school, the teacher would ask everybody what they want to be? Timmy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Timmy acted like he had an idea. He'd stand up, he'd say, I want to be a fireman. And the teacher would say, Timmy, that is a beautiful dream. But Timmy didn't mean it. Timmy said he wanted to be a fireman because deep down, Timmy's attracted to fire. And by the time he's 14 years old, this nigga's a full-blown pyromaniac, playing with kerosene and matches like a goddamn expert. And then one night he goes downtown with his buddies, fucking around with fire, and burns a warehouse down. And he doesn't know it, but there's 13 migrant workers from El Salvador, and they're in that motherfucker. They get trapped, and then they die in the fire. Isn't that a tragedy? It was an accident. He's only 14 years old, but he's black. So they try him as an adult. And Timmy ends up spending the rest of his life in jail. Dream deferred. Burp, burp. What about you, Billy? Billy, what do you want to be? And Billy stands up and he says, I want to be president of the United States. Jesus, my God, Billy, that is a wonderful dream. And Billy means that shit. Billy does everything right. That motherfucker gets his grades up, joins student government, he even does extracurricular activities like show choirs to make the resume look good. He's on track to be president, but junior year, he wipes 16, gets his girlfriend pregnant. Let's drop out of high school, make ends meet. Him, local Walmart. By the time he's 20 years old, this motherfucker makes assistant manager at Walmart. He's the youngest one in the district. So, oh my God, if I can keep this up for 4 years, I'm going to be a manager. If I can keep this up for 6 years, I can even be a regional manager and have as many as 3 Walmarts under my control. And he's a big picture guy. He sees where this path is going. So he kills himself. What about you? What do you want to be? I'm saying, because I don't want the other kids to laugh at me. Your dreams, yours. Own your dreams so they can come true. What you want to be? You grow up. Little nonsense. That nigga stood up in front of the whole class. I want to be the gayest nigga that ever lived. I want to do a music video and slide down a stripper pole all the way to the depths of hell and suck the devil's dick at 10 o'clock on BET while all the kids are awake and can see me. Shockingly, that was the only dream that worked out. That's why I'm here tonight in the city where I built the dreams that I live. Because I wanted to tell you all that they came true. And I wanted to thank you all for making the man that I am today. Yes, I am living a very powerful dream. Every time I come to this city and I stand in front of you, I realize, my God, man, this is not my dream. Before I did Kill Him Softly, when I was 22, HBO gave me the biggest opportunity in my life at that time. They gave me a half-hour special. This shit was not like a special. You know what I mean? It was like generic. It didn't even have a title. It was stationary. And I shot it in San Francisco at a place called Broadway Studios, which is on the second floor of a building. And beneath Broadway Studios is a nightclub. And the special was only supposed to be 30 minutes. And I got ready, I practiced, I did all the shit I was supposed to do. And the night that I taped, 20 minutes into my 30-minute set, I'll never forget this, music started blasting from the nightclub underneath. You hear it real loud, and it fucked my whole show up. And I was a young man. I really believed in what I was doing. And I thought that my dream would be killed. When I got off stage, I ran down steps to the alley behind Broadway Studios where the patrol trucks are parked, and I kicked that motherfucking door open, and I started yelling at all the producers. I was nobody. But the stand, if you leave them, I said, man, this you. Yeah, well, that fucking you, what the fuck were you saying? And there was a guy who was a big time. He said, he stood up. He said, hey, kid, sit the fuck down. He said, we didn't ruin anything. He said, we made a deal for that nightclub and I played music, and they didn't honor the deal. I said, who didn't honor the deal? And he's a 22 guy. I'll never forget it. Old white man. Sitting in the four tours, Mom said. He said, that guy right there. And I didn't waste no time or ask no question. I went to that four tours, And I beat on that window and I said, open the door, motherfucker, I want to talk to you. And that old man looked at me for 1 second and wisely told fuck and left me in the alley cussing at anybody who would listen. And 2 minutes later, literally 120 seconds later, it's yours, kid. Now, that night up on the Broadway studio, that old man was standing there. That same old man was reinforcing. He had 2 big goons, and he looked at me and he was calling you. He said, "You, come here. What are you talking?" I didn't know anything about the streets at this age. I found out later in my life that these men were Russian mobsters. And I don't know what you guys know about the Russian mob, but these are the niggas that killed Denzel and Frank. And all the producers knew what I was up against. They said, Dave, do not go in there. And I said, yeah, fuck y'all. And I walked right into that kitchen, and they closed the doors behind me, and it got dark as fuck there. And I knew, I knew I was in a bad situation. You have to understand, I believed in what I was doing. I didn't give a fuck. I had nothing to say in my life. That old man could believe that I was talking all this shit. And as soon as I took a breath, he stopped. Jack, he said, hey, kid, listen. Your friends lied to you. He said, what made me your friend? When he said that, I realized that, well, I realized he was telling the truth, which would make me wrong. And the very moment that I realized I was wrong, the first time. You see, funny thing if you believe you're absolutely right. You're drunk off feeling of how right you are. I take the shit so easy. But I didn't buckle. You guys would have been very proud of it. I was scared, but I didn't buckle. I said, well, sir, I owe you. I believe that no matter what we have you, I get my mind. And that old damn living me sympathies. Walk over me. Jeff, this man. He said, I tell you, I was very last day, same day. I was sitting there with his hand on my chest. And he said, you live that risk. Just like that. Doors up, back up, light down, he put it. And I just walked down the line. I lived to fight another day.